Hey, what's going on there, South Dallas County? My name is Will Campbell. I am your candidate for the Texas House of Representatives for down here in HD 109. Goes from Cedar Hill to Seagoville. And I'm going to talk for a moment about how we get the power away from AI companies and all these different data collecting groups and all this kind of stuff. And it's the Protecting Truth and Identity Act, or PTIA. And so that's a piece of legislation I've gotten drafted up. It's on my website here. I'll be showing on the screen. You can go to willcampbell4texas.com and you can go to our releases and see all the different legislation that I'm drafting up to protect you, my fellow Texans. Now, the whole point of this particular bill is to hold companies accountable. So not just AI companies, but any other group as well. Your internet service providers, your browser-based systems, all your different websites out there. And it's to make sure that if they're going to be doing things here in Texas, they need to follow this law. So a major component of this is extending your property rights to your data, your content, your identity, image, and likeness material, or DSIL material. So basically anything and everything that you create on a computer, and then that's accessible over the internet by you actually putting it out there, whether it be on social media or on your various Dropbox or Box or the 50 bajillion other versions of them that are out there. That's your content. That's your property. Right now, it's not really considered your property per se. There's some bills out there, and there's still ways where you can go about trying to go after people, bad actors who take your stuff. But what about these different service providers and websites and things that are constantly collecting your information? Well, this bill is going to extend your property rights to that so that nobody has the ability to collect data about you or the data that you collect as you browse around without your express permission. And what this bill will do is require that they provide a very clear permission page where you first must be presented with the data that they're collecting in a simple way, just letting you know that this is what's happening, and making it very clear and making an offer to you to purchase it from you. All right, so no longer being able to just simply have it and then that's it, and that's the accepted terms, but they have to offer a price to you in order to collect your information. Naturally, you can choose to not be paid for them collecting your data, but that's on you. But the idea is they cannot take your property without your permission. Now, there are certain things that they are allowed to gather about you that are just related to the basic needs of things. You think about your internet service providers and whatnot. They need to know that, hey, this home is using our internet. They're tied to the internet through us. So we got to gather up the needed information and know, what's the address, what's the account number, so that they can bill you for their services. And all that's typically acceptable, just like it currently is under the law. But as far as anything about that or collecting it to retain it for the purpose of distribution to third parties and all that, yeah, there's laws to protect that where they have to inform you about how they're going to do it. But, well, they're just informing you that, hey, we have your data and we're doing whatever we want to with it. You cool with that? Right. Now, what this will further do is when it comes to protecting truth and your identity online is allow you to actually hold these things, hold these folks accountable in the courts to be able to protect you. So if they are doing artificial, AI generated videos about you, right? That's a video that may have been your video pulled off of your social media, and then they alter it in same way or in some way to suggest that you have said something you have not. Well, this bill will allow you to force them to take that down. Now, because of the protections it has and the prohibitions that it has in there, they won't be able to get that to begin with without having committed a crime because it's your property. So it stops them from being able to access it just out the gate. But if they're still a bad actor and they go to capture it, there's mechanisms that are built into this. We're going to establish a new court network system, can be implemented through the Justice of the Peace, but as well as a special system that will be set up for it to help streamline how these requests go. But what this is going to do is also establish authority under those new court systems and under law enforcement where it kind of escalates, right? So whatever the entity is, right, and so just call it a particular website, is hosting that artificially generated image or content. you can inform them they need to remove that. And it's up to the platform to decide if they want to, put a penalty on that person or whatever. But you have the ability to go on there, identify the thing, and say, hey, this is not me. I did not give this person permission to do this video. You need to take it down. And they'll be given, about 30 days within receiving that, right? Because they may have a backlog of requests, so we got to be patient with that. And we're trying to be reasonable with enforcing this rule so that they can enforce the rule, right? So once you provide evidence that says, hey, this video has been altered, here's my original video, they took this and without my permission altered it, this needs to be taken down. If they fail to do it, then you can go to the courts and the courts can force them to do it. But if they still fail to do it, then there's a certain window where they get monitored by this new system. If they haven't removed that content, then the next step is to go to the server provider, right? Whoever's hosting that website, and telling them unplug it, right? If they fail to act on this, this actually gives power to our justice system to go to the system that is hosting that website and pull the plug on them until they do what they're supposed to do according to the court order. So it's not just some arbitrary thing. This is real actionable things where they're going to lose their website if they don't take action. So that's the idea behind how we get control of this thing. So if you're worried about AI data centers and all that kind of stuff, just the power of AI, a big part of that worry is how they're grabbing our data and our information and using it, right? And they can, use it for whatever they want. The Protecting Truth and Identity Act here in Texas, we can get this set up, and it's ideal legislation also pass all across the country to make sure that they cannot take your data without your permission. It extends your already existing property rights to all the data and content and all that material that you produce online. That's your property. And it stops these AI companies from being able to get all the information. Now, in addition to that, what it will also do is withhold the government's ability to be able to get to it, because now it's your property very clearly. So that means that they cannot access anything that has your identity, your image, or your likeness, or as your data or content without first getting a warrant. And it makes that very, very clear. So this is going to protect you from AI and their ability to gather information about you, as well as from the government and their ability to get information about you by extending your property rights to the things that you make, that you generate, that you create as you are just simply interacting with the internet. A lot of it you're not even actively doing yourself, but it's just simply how the system works. And now this system is going to be made to work for you. So again, my name is Will Campbell. I am your candidate for the Texas House of Representatives for HD 109. That's South Dallas County, going from Cedar Hill to Seagoville. So visit willcampbellfortexas.com. Please contribute whatever you can. If you'd like to volunteer, you can do it there. Fill out that form. So with that, hey, Jesus loves you, and I approve this message.